Hey everyone, Lisa Salvatore here to talk about the full moon in Libra that's going to take place on April 16th, 2:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This full moon will take place at 26 degrees 45 minutes of Libra. Therefore, those that will be impacted the strongest by this full moon energy are going to be the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer, and especially if you have any of your points or placements in any of those signs and between the 24th and 28th degree of those cardinal signs, you will feel this full moon energy the strongest. But let's remember, we all feel full moon energy because it brings in a heightened sensitivity and awareness, intuition, and emotions. Everything surges with full moon energy. So everyone feels it, but I do feel that the cardinal energies between 24 and 28 degrees are going to feel it the strongest, particularly the Aries and the Libra energies around those degrees. Now, we are in Aries season. We know when we have a full moon, it's when the sun and the moon are opposite each other in the sky. So the sun is currently in the sign of Aries, and the full moon will be occurring in the opposite sign of Aries, which is the air sign of Libra. Libra is represented by the scales of balance. And so for this full moon, it's important to remember to embrace our empathetic nature, to remember to not only do good for ourselves, but to do good for others, and to maintain a sense of teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? But more importantly, to get away from toxicity in our lives, to release. Full moons are all about release. To release any toxicity that might be lingering, whether that's in the form of a relationship or a substance or a habit or something that we're doing that's not really working for us any longer. We want to work at releasing that under this full moon energy and bringing ourselves back into balance, mind, body, and spirit, because the key word for Libra is balance. Now, furthering that, full moons do serve to heighten things. And so when we think about Libra, it is the sign of balance, and it focuses on pairs. So we want to watch out for the body parts that are represented by pairs, like our eyes, our ears, our kidneys. Just paying a little more attention to those areas and taking care of the balance that goes on within our body. Make sure that we're drinking enough water, because again, full moons are all about water, and we want to make sure we're drinking enough water to expel toxins from our body. So this is all about bringing ourselves back into balance, mind, body, and spirit. The energies have been intense. They've been very strong. We are all feeling it, and we can definitely use those meditative moments to remind ourselves why it's so important to find our Zen. Now, Libra is also the sign of karma and, righting our wrongs. It's represented by the karmic scales of justice. So we want to always be mindful of when we do good, it comes back tenfold, and when we don't, it might come back tenfold. So again, there's just something about becoming more conscious of our own part in any storyline so that we can truly release and move on and heal from things. Now, we have a lot of Pisces energy going on. We've got this Jupiter and Neptune alignment in Pisces that we're still under, that took place on April the 12th. I've linked that video below if you have not seen that yet, that I did on the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. But we've also got Venus, and Mars is also in Pisces. So we've got a little Pisces party going on, Pisces energy, which definitely makes us a lot more sensitive to energies in general, for better or worse. So we just want to maintain that sense of diplomacy that Libra asks of us, and mindfulness, just to make sure that we are keeping ourselves in the highest vibration possible. Okay, let's pull up the chart for this Libra full moon. So here we have the full moon in Libra, April 16th, 2022, 2:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ignore the place, doesn't matter. I just did that to get the chart cast. All right, so we've got the sun up here at 26:45 of Aries, opposite the moon at 26:45 of Libra, and this is our full moon. Now, the first thing is that we have a frictional configuration here between the sun, the moon, and Pluto, good old Pluto. We've been talking a lot about Pluto. Pluto is extra pronounced and powerful right now as he is traversing the last degrees of Capricorn, which means he is heightened, his energy is potent. He's also going to station retrograde at the end of this month, not too far off from now, April 30th. So we're really feeling this Pluto, okay? The heat is on. Now, I'm talking personal right now. Forget the collective energy, because we already know that that's, really intense. But let's pull this more personally, because Libra is the sign that rules over relationships and connecting with other people, okay? And so it's about mutuality and it's about sharing. It's important because we're dealing with a T-square here between the sun at 2645 of Aries and then Pluto over here at 2833 and then the moon at 2645. So that's a T-square. So that's a fraught configuration here that brings in more challenges to an already challenging situation, okay? And so this can unearth itself in our relationships as power dynamics, issues surrounding the power dynamics in our relationships, okay, and the way that we connect with other people, and also situations surrounding control and the power that we, have in relationships or don't have or feel that we don't. And so this full moon could serve to bring some of that up to the surface. It's probably been there for quite some time, but this could highlight something, illuminate something for you, bring something to light. It doesn't mean you're going to necessarily do anything about it. You certainly might, but it can certainly pull a lot of focus onto anything going on having to do with power and control in our relationships. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, on the positive side, Pluto seeks to transcend and to help us to heal things. And so as long as we're willing to go deep and do the digging that Pluto sometimes really digs on us to do, forces us to do in a way, it's not comfortable. It can be very painful. It can have us look at things we don't want to look at, but that's the point of a Pluto transit. That's the point of Pluto. And so with this full moon, there's likely going to be some things that come up, and you can either do the see no evil, hear no evil, or you can lean into it and see what it's seeking to show you. And that is how you transcend that Plutonian karma and issues surrounding your relationships. Now, let's not forget, we are still very much dealing with Pluto in a tight square to Aries over here. And Aries is only a couple of degrees away from the sun. So this is furthering that focus on, wanting to make sure that we are being heard, seen, and felt for what we truly feel and believe we deserve, okay? So there could be some good here, fighting for ourselves, fighting for our rights, fighting for justice. Libra is the sign of justice, of karma. So again, it's like fighting for our rights in a specific situation, in a specific relationship, which can be really good for us. It can also not be. So again, this is going to be different for everyone depending on your unique situation. But yeah, right off the bat, we know this is definitely not a chill full moon energy. It's heightened, okay? But it does have the potential to lead to a lot of healing. Because remember, we have a lot of Pisces energy going on right now as well. We are still very much under this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction that we had in Pisces on April 12th. It was exact, but we're still very much under that energy right now. And Venus is over here in Pisces, and Mars is also at the very first degree of Pisces. So there's a lot of Pisces energy here, which can make things feel sweeter. We are much more sensitive under Pisces energy and much more receptive. So, that can be positive. That can also further to enhance this sensitivity towards the power dynamics in the relationships as well. So we don't know which way that can go. And again, that's going to be personal for everybody. Now, we want to watch for our emotions taking us over and promoting us to do something rash under this energy. That's what we want to watch out for, because with all of this Pisces, there's an overabundance of water energy, an overabundance of emotion. It's water, think about it. And so Jupiter and Neptune serve to expand that. Jupiter's expanding all that Pisces energy, and we're dealing with a full moon, which is heightened energy. So again, I don't know how many other ways I can say that it's a very heightened emotional time. And so if you've got something going on and you're not used to all this water energy, it can kind of take you down. So you want to be a little more conscious of that so that you don't allow it to take you down, and so that you can take back control, keyword with this full moon, control, in a positive way to keep yourself from totally spinning out. Because when we allow that emotional stuff to sit there without us overreacting or reacting quickly, we actually give ourselves the space to truly lean into it and feel, what is this trying to reveal to me? And that can be very healing. So there is also an extremely strong healing component and energy to this full moon. I want to stress that. This is not negative. I do want to stress that, because I know it might sound that way with the Plutonian energy and Aries, but it's not. It's just revealing would be the appropriate word, emotionally revealing. Now, on a positive note with Pluto over here at 28 Capricorn is actually trining the North Node in Taurus over here at 22 degrees and 36 minutes of Taurus. And so the North Node asks us to move towards our future, to connect, to make sure that we're doing things that align with who we truly are, right? And Taurus is all about healing as well. So having this Pluto trining the North Node says, it's okay, release this baggage, release these issues around power and control, release this relationship karma, release this baggage, whatever it is that you need to release. And full moons are about release, right? Release it and move towards your true north, which is the Taurus North Node over here. So that's very positive. Now, another aspect that's working really nicely for us around this full moon is this Mercury-Uranus conjunction up here in Taurus. We've got Mercury here at 11 degrees of Taurus and Uranus at 13 Taurus. And so Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So Mercury is a lower mind and Uranus is the higher mind. And so these two together can bring in flashes of insight, flashes of genius, flashes of brilliance, strong intuitive hits that show us where we want to go, right? They help us move forward on our path. And so this is a very positive aspect. So you probably want to keep a journal handy for those zany, wacky ideas that come to you. Write them down because this, remember, Mercury in Taurus is very methodical, right? It's not very impulsive. But Uranus is impulsive, right? And so in Taurus, it doesn't, Taurus doesn't like the impulsiveness, but Uranus will bring in good impulsiveness here around this full moon energy. And then furthering the goodness here is that Uranus at 13 degrees of Taurus is actually in a nice sextile, which is a sweet and helpful aspect to Venus over here at 12 degrees of Pisces. And so this could be really, really nice and really lovely. Now remember, Venus is the ruler of Libra, so Venus rules this full moon. So having Venus in a helpful aspect with Uranus is really nice. This can bode well for our relationships in a way if we're willing to do the deep digging and the deep work. And it can also bring in new, exciting situations that affect and impact our relationships with others and our relationship to self positively. So it could be something that comes in out of nowhere that you are not expecting that ends up being a really, really good thing. So this is really, really nice to have that aspect here. Now also, the moon in Libra is tightly conjunct an asteroid, goddess asteroid, Haumea. And Haumea is the Hawaiian goddess of fertility and healing. And, when we're dealing with this aspect, it speaks to the physical body. It speaks to being able to focus on what works for us and what doesn't. And again, it furthers that sentiment about getting ourselves back into balance, mind, body, and spirit. And the North Node's in Taurus, so there's something here about getting more natural, getting back to basics, getting back to growing foods, holistic health, holistic healing. This falls under this energy. And one more thing that I don't necessarily love. I think it could be a little frustrating for us and limiting in some capacity. And this one might be felt more on the collective level, but you may also experience it in your own reality, is that Saturn over here, because we can't not talk about Saturn, right? Saturn over here at 23 of Aquarius is actually squaring the nodal axis, okay? So Saturn squaring the North Node at 22 Taurus and Scorpio at 22, and the South Node at 22 of Scorpio. And so when Saturn's squaring the nodal axis, and I did mention this in my last week's energy report for the week ahead, with Saturn squaring the nodal axis, this has something to do with rules and our freedom to move around within the confines of our whatever it is, whether it's our job, whether it's our home, whether it's our relationship, whatever. There's something here that says, well, not quite going to happen the way you wanted it to. We need to do this first. We need to go over this terrain. We need to go over these steps, okay? And so I need to mention that because Saturn is in a harsh aspect to the nodal axis. Pluto is in a harsh aspect to the full moon, and both Saturn and Pluto are malefics, and so they can tend to bring in this energy of restriction and uncomfortability. But I wouldn't say it's blockage. I would say it's more about delays. So again, when you do feel that hard stop energy or you feel like you're restricted and you can't go further, just try not to allow the emotion of this time take you down. Try to sit with it and try to find a way to transcend that, because that's the word for Pluto, who is our power player at this time. Power sentiment of Pluto is transcendence and also healing. So there is a strong element of that to this full moon as well. Okay, so everyone's going to feel this full moon. But here's where you're going to feel it the strongest by your sign, by your sun sign, rising sign. So Aries, sun, Aries, rising, this full moon is going to take place in your 7th house, which is the house of Libra. So this is going to be all about your relationships and the way that you connect with others and what it is that you value in that arena, okay? So this full moon will take place in your 7th house. Taurus, sun, Taurus, rising, this full moon will take place in your 6th house of daily routines, your health, your service, and your daily habits. Gemini, this full moon will take place in your 5th house of creative projects and pleasure and play and children and also romance. Cancer, this full moon will take place in your 4th house of home and family. Leo, this full moon will take place in your 3rd house of communication and siblings and short distance travel. Virgo, this full moon will take place in your 2nd house of self-worth and also your finances and what you value. And Libra, this full moon will take place in your 1st house, okay, which is the house of the self. So this is your full moon, Libra. And then Scorpio, this full moon will take place in your 12th house, the house of the hidden, the house of the unconscious, the house of the psychic energy. And there's a lot to unpack when we're dealing with the 12th house. So you may feel this one really psychologically, Scorpio. Sagittarius, this full moon will take place in your 11th house of groups and community and the collective and also your friendships. So you may find yourself like Elsa, letting it go here. And Capricorn, this full moon will take place in your 10th house, which is your natural space of career and public image and reputation. And Aquarius, this full moon will take place in your 9th house of philosophy and higher learning and furthering your education and beliefs and politics. So you may find yourself really stretched thin here, Aquarius. So this is where the full moon will take place for the signs by your rising sign, sun sign. So, follow your rising sign if you know it. Otherwise, just follow your sun sign there. But rising sign is more accurate. Long story short, the horoscope will be more accurate when you follow your rising sign. So, hope that this helped you. Happy full moon. Take really good care of yourselves. Do some sort of a healing release ritual under this energy. Again, that can be just as simple as lighting a candle, zoning out and journaling, and vowing to release that which is not working from your life lovingly. But remember, you have to take the steps towards changing it. It's not going to just magically happen. You have to put in the effort to work towards having that happen. And there's always more to uncover and to heal when we're dealing with Pluto. And we're all dealing with it right now. Everyone's dealing with it. So I wish you love and peace and happy full moon.